Jake, a devoted husband and father, rescues a stranger from a burning car, risking his life. He returns home that night to hear his wife, Emily, say a phrase that shatters his world. "We need to talk." Her ex, Nick, is back, and she is hesitant. Betrayal, revenge, and the truth are intertwined in a suspenseful story where every choice has a price. The sun blazed over Portland's industrial district, where Jake Wilson, a 35-year-old engineer, maneuvered a forklift through a cluttered warehouse. His radio crackled with urgent chatter. Smoke was rising from the highway nearby. Without hesitation, Jake sprinted toward the chaos. A pickup truck had skidded off the road, its hood engulfed in flames. Bystanders froze, but Jake shoved through, wrenching open the driver's door. A dazed man slumped inside, blood trickling from his forehead. Jake yanked him free just as the flames surged, earning gasps from the crowd. Paramedics arrived, and the man, clutching Jake's arm, whispered, "You saved my life." Colleagues slapped Jake's shoulder, calling him a hero, but all he wanted was to get home to Emily, his wife of 6 years. Back at their modest Portland home, Jake kicked off his work boots, expecting Emily's usual warm greeting. Instead, she sat on the couch, her phone clutched tightly, her posture rigid. "We need to talk," she said, her voice flat but heavy with something unspoken. Jake's stomach twisted. Those words never carried good news. He sat across from her, the air between them thick with tension. "Nick called," she said, avoiding his eyes. Nick, her ex, a rock musician from Seattle whose name still lingered like a shadow in their marriage. Emily swore their relationship had ended in a mess of broken promises and late-night fights. But Jake always sensed she held onto a piece of that chaos. "He just wanted to catch up," she added quickly. "I listened out of respect. That's all." Jake's jaw tightened. "Respect? For a guy who'd cheated on her repeatedly?" He asked. "Why didn't you hang up?" Emily shrugged, her fingers tapping her phone. "He was a big part of my life once." Ignoring him felt wrong. Her words hung there, vague but sharp, like a blade hidden in fog. Jake pressed further, his voice steady but probing. "What did he want?" Emily hesitated, then said, "He's in town for a gig. Said he missed our friendship. Wanted to grab coffee." Jake's chest tightened. Friendship? He knew Nick's type. Charismatic, reckless, the kind of guy who thrived on pulling people back into his orbit. "Did you say yes?" Jake asked, his tone calm, but his pulse racing. Emily shook her head. "No. I told him I'm married, that I'm happy." But her eyes darted to her phone, and Jake caught it. A flicker of doubt, maybe longing. He didn't push further, not yet. Instead, he nodded, stood, and headed to the kitchen to grab a beer, his mind already churning. Emily's quick denial didn't erase the unease creeping into his gut. That night, as they lay in bed, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She didn't reach for it, but Jake saw the screen light up with a text. He couldn't read it, but the timing felt like a taunt. The next morning, Emily was up early, claiming a last-minute work meeting. She worked in marketing, always juggling deadlines, but this felt different. She barely looked at him as she grabbed her keys and left. Jake stood at the window, watching her car pull away, his hero's high from yesterday replaced by a gnawing suspicion. At work, he couldn't focus. The warehouse buzzed around him, but his thoughts kept circling back to Nick. Why now? Why her? By noon, he caved and checked Emily's social media on his break. Her last post was a vague quote about old memories resurfacing. It had 10 likes, one from an account tagged Nick Riffs. Jake's grip tightened on his phone. He clicked the profile. Nick, grinning with a guitar, his bio boasting about a West Coast tour. Jake's blood ran cold. That evening, Emily came home late, her excuse a vague client dinner. Jake didn't buy it. He suggested they order takeout, like they used to, hoping to bridge the growing gap. Emily sighed. "I am exhausted, Jake. Can we just not?" Her tone wasn't angry, just distant, like she was already somewhere else. He pressed. "Is it Nick? Are you talking to him?" Her eyes flashed with irritation. "You're being paranoid." It was one call, but her defensiveness only fueled his doubts. Later, as she slept, Jake grabbed her phone. He hated himself for it, but he needed answers. The passcode was still their anniversary. In her messages, he found Nick's name. The texts were short but loaded. "Missed hearing your laugh," Nick wrote. Emily's reply. "It's been a while. Weird to hear from you." No plans, no clear betrayal, but the familiarity stung like a fresh wound. Jake put the phone down, his heart pounding. He could confront her, demand the truth, but what if she lied? Or worse, what if she admitted she still felt something? He sat in the dark, replaying their 6 years together. The road trips, the late-night talks, the way she'd tease him about his terrible dance moves. Was it all slipping away because of a ghost from her past? The next day, Emily left for work again, her goodbye a quick nod. Jake called in sick, his mind made up. He wasn't going to lose her without a fight. He searched online for a private investigator, found one with solid reviews, and dialed. "I need to know what my wife's doing," he said, his voice steady but his hands shaking. "And who she's doing it with." Jake Wilson sat in his truck outside the warehouse, the engine off, his phone screen glowing with the private investigator's number. The call from yesterday still echoed in his mind. He'd hired someone to tail Emily, his wife, after her cryptic talk about Nick, her ex. The decision felt like a betrayal of his own trust, but the text he'd found on her phone last night left him no choice. "Missed hearing your laugh," Nick had written. Emily's reply, "It's been a while. Weird to hear from you." Wasn't damning, but it wasn't innocent either. Jake's gut screamed she was slipping away, and he needed proof before confronting her. The next morning, Portland's gray skies matched Jake's mood. Emily left early again, citing another work meeting. Her goodbye was a distracted wave, her keys jangling as she rushed out. Jake waited 10 minutes, then called the investigator, a gruff-voiced man named Carter. "Start today," Jake said. "I need to know where she goes, who she's with." Carter promised updates by evening. Jake spent the day at work distracted, his hands moving through tasks while his mind raced. By 5 p.m., Carter texted, "She's at a cafe in downtown. With a guy. Photos coming." Jake's heart sank. He opened the images. Emily at a corner table, laughing, her hand brushing Nick's arm. Nick, with his leather jacket and smug grin, leaned in close. The sight hit Jake like a punch. He drove home, gripping the wheel too tightly. Emily wasn't there. A note on the counter read, "Late meeting, don't wait up." Jake crumpled it, his anger flaring. He paced, replaying their 6 years together. Camping trips, her cheering at his softball games, the way she'd hum while cooking. Was it all a lie? When Emily walked in at 9 p.m., she froze, seeing Jake's tense posture. "You're up," she said, forcing a smile. "Thought you'd be asleep." Jake didn't smile back. "Where were you?" he asked, his voice low but sharp. Emily shrugged. "Work stuff." A client pitch ran long. Her eyes avoided his, and Jake's patience snapped. "I saw the photos, Emily," he said, holding up his phone with the cafe image. Her face paled. "You're spying on me?" She shot back, her tone defensive. "It was coffee, Jake. Nothing happened." He stepped closer. "Then why lie? Why say it's work when you're laughing with Nick?" Emily's jaw tightened, but she didn't answer. Instead, she turned the tables. "You're suffocating me. Everything's so predictable with you. Nick, he reminds me what it's like to feel alive." The words cut deeper than Jake expected. He'd built a steady life for them, saved for a house, worked overtime, planned a future. And now she was throwing it back in his face. "Alive," Jake repeated, his voice rising. "He cheated on you, left you in pieces. And you're running back to that." Emily crossed her arms. "I'm not running anywhere. I don't know what I want anymore." Her admission hung between them, a fracture widening by the second. Jake took a breath, forcing calm. "If you're not sure about us, then go. Figure it out. But not here." Emily's eyes widened, but she didn't argue. She grabbed her purse, a small suitcase, and walked out. The door's slam echoed like a gunshot. Jake stood alone, the silence deafening. The next day, Carter sent more photos. Emily and Nick at a bar in Seattle, her head on his shoulder. Jake's anger hardened into resolve. He called a locksmith, scheduling a lock change for that afternoon. Then he dialed his co-worker's cousin, a divorce lawyer named Rachel. "I want to start the process," Jake said, his voice steady. Rachel asked if he was sure. "She made her choice," he replied. By evening, the new locks were in place, each click a small act of reclaiming his life. Carter's next update came at midnight. Emily was staying at a hotel with Nick. Jake didn't sleep. Over the next week, Emily's absence became a pattern. She texted once, claiming she needed space to think, but Jake ignored it. Carter's reports painted a clear picture. Emily and Nick were inseparable. Dinners, late-night walks, even a visit to a music venue where Nick performed. Jake's hope withered with each image. He threw himself into work, But the warehouse felt emptier, his colleagues' praise for his heroism a bitter reminder of his crumbling personal life. One night, he sat with a beer, scrolling through old photos of him and Emily, her smile at their wedding, their first hike together. He deleted them one by one, each swipe a step toward letting go. Then came the bombshell. Carter called, his voice urgent. Found something you need to know. Nick's married. His wife, Kate, lives in Seattle. He's been lying to Emily. Jake leaned back, processing. Nick wasn't just breaking his marriage. He was playing Emily, too. Jake asked Carter to dig into Kate, to find her contact info. If Emily wouldn't see the truth, maybe Kate could force it. Jake wasn't just fighting for himself anymore. He was done letting Nick destroy lives unchecked. Jake Wilson leaned against his truck in the Portland warehouse lot, the morning mist settling around him. His phone buzzed with another update from Carter, the private investigator he'd hired to track his wife, Emily, and her ex, Nick. The latest photos showed them at a Seattle music venue. Emily's eyes fixed on Nick as he strummed a guitar on stage. Jake's anger had hardened into something colder, resolve. Nick wasn't just stealing Emily. He was married, lying to both her and his wife, Kate. Jake wasn't about to let him walk away unscathed. He'd already changed the locks on their house and contacted a divorce lawyer. Now, he needed a plan to expose Nick and protect himself. Carter's call came at noon. Got more, he said, his voice clipped. They're at a hotel downtown. Also found Kate's social media. She's a graphic designer, active online. I'll send you her contact. Jake nodded, though Carter couldn't see it. Keep following them, he said. I want everything, times, places, proof. Carter agreed, and within minutes, Jake had Kate's email and a link to her Instagram. Her posts showed a polished life, art projects, coffee shop selfies, and a few with Nick, captioned with hearts. Jake's stomach churned. Nick was playing two women, maybe more, and Emily was too caught up to see it. Back at work, Jake's hands moved mechanically, sorting equipment while his mind raced. He'd built a life with Emily, 6 years of shared dreams, late-night talks, and quiet mornings. Now, she was throwing it away for a liar. He couldn't confront her yet. She'd deny everything, just like she did at the cafe. Instead, he called Rachel, the divorce lawyer, to push the paperwork forward. I want it ready soon, he said. Rachel warned that rushing could complicate asset division, but Jake was firm. She's made her choice. I need to move on. Hanging up, he felt a strange relief, like shedding a weight he'd carried too long. That evening, Carter sent a video. Emily and Nick leaving a bar, her arm looped through his, laughing as they climbed into a cab. Jake watched it twice, each frame fueling his determination. He saved the file, along with every photo Carter had sent, evidence that would hold up in court or a confrontation. Then he opened Kate's Instagram, scrolling until he found a post from last week. Nick and Kate at a Seattle waterfront, smiling. The caption read, "My forever." Jake's jaw clenched. He drafted an anonymous email to Kate, attaching one photo of Nick and Emily at the bar, but didn't send it. Not yet. He needed more to make sure she'd act. The next day, Jake took a half-day off, claiming a family emergency. He drove to a hardware store, buying a safe for important documents, his marriage certificate, house deed, anything Emily might claim in a divorce. At home, he stored them securely, a small act of control in a world slipping away. His phone pinged with Carter's next report. Emily and Nick at a park, sitting close on a bench, her head on his shoulder. Jake's chest tightened, but he pushed the pain aside. He called Carter. Can you get audio? Anything they're saying? Carter hesitated. That's trickier, but I'll try. Riskier legally, too. Jake didn't care. Do it. I'll cover the cost. By the weekend, Carter delivered. A grainy audio clip captured Nick's voice outside a club. You're the only one who gets me, Em. My marriage is dead. I'm just waiting for the right time. Emily's reply was soft but clear. I left Jake for this. Don't make me regret it. Jake played it again, the words slicing through him. She'd left him, not for space, but for Nick. He saved the clip, his hand steady despite the storm inside. He called Rachel again, finalizing the divorce petition. Include infidelity, he told her. I have proof. Rachel promised to have it ready in days. Jake's next move was riskier. He created a burner email account and sent Kate a single photo. Nick and Emily at the hotel, time-stamped. No message, just the image. He didn't know if she'd confront Nick or ignore it, but it was a seed planted. Carter's updates kept coming. Emily and Nick at a diner, a rooftop bar, even a late-night drive to the coast. Each report tightened Jake's resolve. He wasn't just protecting himself now. He was exposing a liar. On Monday, Carter called with a new twist. Kate posted something cryptic online, he said, a quote about truth coming out. She might suspect. Jake checked her Instagram. The post was vague, but pointed. Some people think they can hide forever. Not today. He smirked. The cracks in Nick's world were starting to show. That night, Emily texted Jake. Can we talk? I miss you. Jake stared at the message, tempted to reply, to demand answers. Instead, he forwarded it to Carter. She's reaching out. Watch her closer. He wasn't falling for it. Not after the audio, not after the photos. Emily had chosen Nick, and Jake was choosing himself. He leaned back, the safe in the corner a reminder of his new boundaries. Nick's lies were unraveling, and Jake was ready to pull the final thread. Jake Wilson sat in his Portland home, the new locks on the door a quiet testament to his resolve. His phone buzzed with another update from Carter, the private investigator tracking his wife, Emily, and her ex, Nick. The latest report confirmed they were still together, spotted at a Seattle diner, sharing a booth and a laugh. Jake's divorce papers were ready, thanks to his lawyer, Rachel, and the evidence, photos, videos, even an audio clip of Emily admitting she left him for Nick, was undeniable. He'd also sent an anonymous photo to Kate, Nick's wife, planting a seed to unravel Nick's lies. Now, Jake waited, his anger replaced by a calm certainty. This wasn't just about saving his marriage anymore. It was about justice. Carter's next call came at dawn. Kate's moving, he said. She posted online, hinting at a confrontation. Nick's in trouble. Jake checked Kate's Instagram. Her latest story was a screenshot of a text. We need to talk. Now, no names, but the timing matched the photo Jake had sent. He leaned back, a grim satisfaction settling in. Nick's double life was crumbling, and Emily was about to learn the truth. Jake texted Carter to keep monitoring, especially Emily's reaction. She texted me last night, saying she misses me. Jake added, don't trust it. Carter agreed to stay on her trail. That afternoon, Emily called. Jake let it ring twice before answering, his voice neutral. What do you want? Emily's tone was shaky. I'm sorry, Jake. I made a mistake. Can I come home? Jake's grip tightened on the phone. He'd seen this coming. Her regret, now that Nick's charm was fading. You left, he said. You chose him. Emily pleaded. It was a mistake. I don't know what I thought. Please, let's talk. Jake agreed to meet, but not at home. The park by the river. 1 hour. He hung up, grabbing the folder of evidence Carter had compiled. This wasn't about reconciliation. It was about closure. At the park, Emily stood by a bench, her posture tense. Jake approached, the folder in hand. Before she could speak, he handed it to her. Open it, he said. Emily flipped through the photos. Her and Nick at the diner, the bar, the hotel. Her hands shook as she reached the audio transcript. I left Jake for this. Don't make me regret it. She looked up, eyes wide. You spied on me? Jake's voice was steady. You lied to me. For weeks. You don't get to play the victim. Emily stammered. I was confused. Nick said his marriage was over, that we could start fresh. I believed him. Jake cut her off. He's married, Emily. He's been lying to you, just like he lied to Kate. Emily froze, processing. Kate knows. Jake nodded. I sent her proof. She's confronting him now. Emily's voice cracked. I didn't know. I thought he cared. Jake stepped back. You threw us away for him. The house isn't yours anymore. The locks are changed. Your stuff's in boxes in the garage. Emily reached for his arm, but he pulled away. Talk to my lawyer, he said, walking off. As he left, he glanced back. Emily stood frozen, the folder clutched to her chest, alone. That night, Carter sent an update. Kate had kicked Nick out. Social media posts from her friends hinted at a public fallout. Nick's bandmates were distancing themselves, and a gig was canceled. Jake scrolled through Kate's latest post, a photo of a packed suitcase with the caption, Time for a new chapter. He felt no joy, only relief. Nick's lies had cost him his marriage and his career. Emily, meanwhile, texted again, begging to meet. Jake ignored it, forwarding the message to Rachel. Add it to the file, he told her. She's not getting back in. The next morning, Jake drove to the warehouse, his mind clearer than it had been in weeks. At lunch, Carter called with a final report. Emily was back in Portland, staying with a friend. Nick had tried calling her, but she wasn't answering. Jake thanked Carter, wiring the final payment. He didn't need more evidence. Emily's betrayal and Nick's downfall were enough. Rachel called later, confirming the divorce papers were filed. "You'll be free soon," she said. Jake nodded, the weight of his decision settling. He'd loved Emily, but he loved himself more. By evening, Jake stopped by the park again, not for Emily, but for himself. He sat on the same bench, watching the river flow. His phone buzzed, a message from a co-worker about a community project, rebuilding a local shelter. Jake replied, signing up. He wasn't just closing a chapter, he was starting one. Nick's world had collapsed. Emily was facing her mistakes, and Jake was moving forward, his strength forged in the fire of betrayal. Jake Wilson stood on the banks of the Willamette River in Portland, the morning sun cutting through the mist. His divorce from Emily was finalized, the papers signed and emailed by his lawyer, Rachel, yesterday. The evidence, photos, videos, and audio of Emily with Nick, her ex, had ensured a clean break. Nick's wife, Kate, had kicked him out after Jake sent her proof of his infidelity, and Nick's music career was unraveling as gigs were canceled and bandmates distanced themselves. Emily, now alone, had tried reaching out, but Jake had blocked her number. He'd chosen himself, and today, he was starting over. His phone buzzed, a reminder for a volunteer shift at a local shelter rebuild. Jake pocketed it and headed to his truck, ready to rebuild more than just walls. Days earlier, Emily had made one last attempt to reconcile. She showed up at the warehouse where Jake worked, waiting by the gate as he clocked out. "I was wrong," she said, her voice breaking. "Nick lied to me. I see that now. Can we try again?" Jake stopped, the folder of evidence long gone, but its weight still present. "You didn't just choose him," he said, his tone even. "You chose to lie, to leave. I can't trust you anymore." Emily's eyes searched his, but Jake held firm. "The divorce is done. Don't contact me again." He walked past her to his truck, leaving her standing in the dusk. Her final text, an apology, went unanswered. Meanwhile, Nick's downfall accelerated. Kate had shared the photos Jake sent on a local music forum, anonymously exposing Nick's double life. Fans turned on him, promoters dropped him, and a viral post called him out for using his rock star persona to manipulate women. Jake saw the posts online, but felt no urge to gloat. Justice wasn't about revenge, it was about truth. Carter, the private investigator, sent a final message. "Emily's crashing with a friend. Nick's back in Seattle, laying low. My job's done." Jake wired the last payment and deleted Carter's contact. The evidence had served its purpose. At the shelter rebuild, Jake hauled lumber alongside other volunteers, the physical work grounding him. A co-worker, Maria, handed him a hammer. "Heard you're a hero again," she said, nodding to a news clip about his truck rescue months ago. Jake shrugged. "Just doing what's right." She smiled. "You're good at that." The project was more than a distraction. It was a purpose. Jake signed up for weekly shifts, finding solace in the rhythm of nails and saws. Each swing of the hammer felt like building a future he could control. Emily, meanwhile, faced her own reckoning. Staying with a friend, she tried calling Nick, desperate for closure. His voice was cold when he answered. "It was fun, Em, but I'm staying with Kate." "You were a fling." The line went dead. Emily sat stunned, the weight of her choices crashing down. She'd left Jake, a man who'd loved her unconditionally, for a liar who saw her as disposable. She scrolled through old photos of her and Jake, camping trips, lazy Sundays, then deleted them, knowing she couldn't undo the past. Her friend urged her to move on, but guilt lingered like a shadow. Jake's life, by contrast, gained momentum. He reconnected with old friends, joined a hiking group, and even started coaching a youth softball team. One evening, at a team barbecue, a parent thanked him for inspiring her kid. "You're solid," she said. Jake smiled, the compliment landing differently now. He wasn't the predictable man Emily had mocked. He was dependable, strong. His phone stayed quiet, no text from Emily or Nick. Rachel called to confirm the divorce settlement. Jake kept the house, Emily got her belongings, and no alimony was owed. "You're free," Rachel said. Jake exhaled. "I know." One morning, Jake drove to the coast, a place he and Emily once loved. He stood on the shore, the waves crashing steadily. His mind flashed to the day he'd pulled a man from a burning truck, the moment he'd felt unbreakable. That strength had carried him through betrayal, lies, and loss. He didn't need Emily's apologies or Nick's ruin to move forward. He had himself. Back in Portland, he stopped by the shelter where the frame of a new building was rising. He grabbed a toolbox, ready to help. A volunteer waved him over, and Jake joined in, the work a reminder that some things could be rebuilt stronger than before.